right, welcome to the Haunted Beard. My name is Jake Hubbard, and I'm going to be doing a series of reviews on the VHS series. As of right now, there's 4 movies, so I want to go through, review each one of them, and then do like a ranking video of all the individual segments throughout all 4 movies. So let's talk about the first one. I'd seen this once before. It's been years ago. Didn't really remember it too much. The first one has technically 6 segments, but I'm only going to be talking about 5 of them because the first segment is called Tape 56. It's basically just a way of setting up the story, of kind of introducing us to the actual segment. So, VHS films are a found footage horror anthology, and the first one, the basic setup is these guys burglarize this guy's house to look for this tape, and the 5 segments that we get are some of the VHS tapes. They stumble upon this huge collection of tapes, and these are what they find. So, the first one is called Amateur Night. It's directed by David Bruckner. I'm going to just kind of go through each of these individually and just talk about each individual segment. So, Amateur Night is it's pretty good. The main standout is the main girl, and it's pretty obvious who I'm talking about once you see it. But her performance, she actually is probably she probably gives the best performance in the entire movie. Really, she's able to do quite a bit with just a little bit. She's only got a handful of like spoken lines of dialogue or like whispered. Basically, everything is just kind of in her body language, her countenance, her eyes really sell a lot of the performance. She's the best thing about the first segment. It's basically just a group of guys out on the town trying to find women to hook up with. So the means for recording is there's a camera built into this guy's eyeglasses, and so he records the night. They take these couple chicks back to their dorm room or hotel room, and things take a bloody turn at the end. So this is one of the 5. I only really remembered anything about 2 of the 5 segments from having watched it years ago. This is one of them. The film, it kind of earns its, I guess, credibility in the last few minutes. Once sort of the horror element clicks into gear is kind of when it gets fun. And so it's nothing mind blowing. It's a fun watch. You know, these all clock in right around the 20-minute mark or so. But yeah, really just the performance from the main lead, from the main girl, and the last 3-4 minutes are kind of what make this one worth watching. So in terms of grade, I'm probably 6.5 out of 10 for Amateur Night. The next one is called Second Honeymoon. That is directed by Ty West, who you may know just recently came out with a new film, X, which I have yet to see, but I'm looking forward to. But anyways, this is the standout for me, Second Honeymoon. It's just a couple who are on their honeymoon, and they're just kind of traveling about, doing sort of basically like a road trip is what it seems like. And this one is kind of the most this is the best one for me. It's my favorite. It's the most realistic. All the other segments have some sort of kind of like a supernatural element to them, whereas this one is the most grounded in reality, and it's the most disturbing. Again, most of these kind of come down to how you respond or what you think of the last few minutes. Terms of there's usually some sort of twist or some sort of unexpected thing that happens. This one works the best for me. This one, as I said, it's the most grounded, and so it's kind of the most disturbing. It left me wanting more, which I think is probably one of the best things you can say for a short film. It has the most kind of mystery to it in terms of just you kind of have some questions after it ends. At least I did in wanting to know more and wanting to know what exactly happened. And so there's enough there to where you kind of get an idea of but there's certainly some, I guess, ambiguity there. At least there was for me, and so I really liked that. Really, just the again, it kind of what I said about Amateur Night. Just the last couple minutes is where it really kind of packs the punch. But for me, it's this again, this one along with the first one are what I remembered, and so it obviously has some staying power from when I seen it years ago. So, but Second Honeymoon is I think the standout for the VHS film. Probably give this one a 7.5 out of 10. Um, the third one is called Tuesday the 17th, directed by Glenn McQuaid, who I'm not familiar with. This one is really the only one out of the lot that I say is not good. I think you could just outright skip it. Um, the other ones are at least worth watching to good, I would say. But this is the only one I really didn't care for. It has a decent concept, but it just how it pulls it off and executes it are just not great. It's basically like a slasher. This group of people are going to basically just going camping in the woods kind of thing, and there's a little bit more to it, but none of the kills are that good, that inventive. There's no creepiness. There's no tension really. It's just bland. It's just not really effective at all. Like I said, I'll give it a couple points for a concept, but in terms of how it went about pulling off that concept, it has this weird kind of glitchy editing effect that it does, and I don't know, it just didn't really work for me. Um, it's just a 20-minute slasher that's just blah. So I give this one like a 3 out of 10. The next one is called The Sick Thing That Happened to Emily When She Was Younger, directed by Joe Swanberg, who's actually one of the actors in the second Honeymoon segment. This one's pretty good. It makes use of the if you've seen movies like Unfriended or Searching, where it all takes place on a screen, a laptop screen. It's like a Skype conversation, right? And it's between a girlfriend and her boyfriend, and the, the girl thinks that her house is haunted. Um, Nothing groundbreaking, but again, it kind of comes to how how effective is it in terms of when the reveal kind of happens. I didn't see it. I didn't see it coming, so it caught me off guard. There's a I think a pretty decent twist. There's one shot of a kind of a practical gore effect that's pretty good. There is a couple CG elements in this one that are kind of cheesy and not great. Performances are fine, and nothing to really mention above. Just they're fine. Um, let's see. In terms of a grade for this one, I probably go like a 6.5. The final one is called 10/31/98. I'll give this one some credit for pulling off kind of the most creative, ridiculous, and inventive use for having a found footage. It takes place in 1998, so it's like you kind of had to the writer had to come up with a creative idea of how somebody back then would have a camera with them, and a pretty big one at that. So it takes place on Halloween in 1998, obviously for the title of it. The guy is wearing a costume with a big mascot head, and he's got the camera implanted in the mascot head. It's just completely ridiculous, but fair enough. I guess that's a pretty good excuse for finding a reason why there's a recording device. So, anyways, this one is it's not bad. It's again the last few minutes are pretty good. It's got some CG elements in it that are kind of cheesy and corny. It's more or less just like a haunted house. They think they're going to this Halloween party, and they end up going to this haunted house, and some creepy stuff happens. Um, there's a couple kind of surprising elements in it towards the end a little bit. Again, nothing that's really super memorable. but a decent enough time. It's probably a 5.5 ish, a little above average, maybe 5.5 out of 10 would probably be my grade for that one. Yeah, I mean overall, it's a pretty decent, fun watch. There's some fun to be had, um, depending on if you like found footage, if you like the anthology style. So they're certainly better, but they're certainly worse. So I'd probably be around a 6.5 out of 10 overall for the entire thing. So somewhere right in there. But yeah, so that's going to do it for the first VHS segment. Stay tuned for part two. All right.